Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Hello all, and what is going on, and how are you all doing this late Thursday afternoon, early Thursday evening? This is the Club of the Man, 1993, and in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And yes, of course, I am driving character, getting organized, got the graphics fixed, got Seth Rollins, your world heavyweight champion, on the graphics now instead of Cody Rhodes. Of course, again, Rhea Ripley is, of course, the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw still. But, you know, we've talked about that how many times. Look, before I start this review, I'm just going to put it this way. WWE, Vince McMahon, you won. Vince McMahon, you won. Because no matter what we say, no matter how much we express our unhappiness with this senile 70-some-year-old man, nothing is going to change. Endeavor loves Vince McMahon. I just found out that actually Vince has been friends with most of those people for like 25 years. And at this point, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference what we say. They're just going to keep fooling around, do whatever they want. As long as they got the money, that's all I care about. But I'm scrolling through here on Twitter really quick because I did just see something the other day that everyone, good YouTuber, Just Alex, as we all love him, said it pretty clear as to, us, why, of course, we still, watch the product, despite the fact that Vince McMahon is just still in our ears. And I'm trying to find the post he made. Hold on. Just Alex. I just want to read the post he posted. It was, to me, it summed up everything. Where is it? Here it is. He said, I'm seeing similar sentiments about Vince McMahon on my Twitter and Facebook pages. They all basically said the following. I really don't care. I'm watching WWE nonetheless. We already know he's running things. There's not much we can do. Now, people, I say, you're right. There's not much choice here. Vince McMahon is back in charge. And we as fans have no say in that matter. I understand why fans are unhappy when I say it, because it means they have to support a product run by a senile old man who did inappropriate things toward women and made them sign non-disclosure agreements. Which, of course, that just frustrates me even more. Again, how on earth can this man has gotten away with so much bad he's done? Yet a thing like this, where he basically gave people hush money to keep his secrets quiet, and then go on TV and say, I've done some things in the past, but blah, 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 blah. And to me, that was not a sincere apology. That's not a man that I can believe is actually sorry for what he's done. A couple years ago, whenever they had that speaking out thing, remember Jack Gallagher, who used to be in the Cruiserweight division? A couple months after his release and whatnot, he came out on social media and, basically said, I take responsibility, this, and that. It was a post where I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm never going to say, how do I put this without sounding wrong? Basically, what I got out of it was, that is a man that, to me, I can't say, I don't follow him really much what he does anymore. I can't fully say, that I'm saying that I forgive him, but I read the post, and to me, it came across as a man who was believably trying to improve himself, is what I said. But, anyways, to finish Alex's thing. But if you choose not to support it, you risk overlooking the incredible talent on the show and missing out on some fantastic wrestling and storylines. It's an unfortunate dilemma that I'm sure some don't want to be reminded of. The best we can hope for is that Triple H produces exceptional shows that won't be excessively influenced by Vince, or at least altered too heavily, like last night's Raw. I'm just not foolish enough to believe that last night's episode reflects what lies ahead, which I can believe. So, getting into that, this past week's episode of Raw was in Hartford, Connecticut. And I'm pretty sure we all expected Vince to be there, because it's close to his home. Because he lives in, Stamford or, Greenwich, Connecticut, somewhere in there. We expected Vince to be there. And, of course, we heard other executives were there. So I'm thinking, we're probably going to show, the Raw after Mania, right? Well, there was some excerpts on this. I'll put it this way. Mainly the dialogue. Most of the dialogue, to me, was what kind of, brought this show down. If you take that out of the equation, though, this actually was not too bad an episode of Raw. Although it wasn't great. I was generous, and I'm generous in giving it a B-. I kind of want to give it a C+, but there was some things on the show that I'm like, okay. I thought that was cooking a little bit. I thought. Apparently Vince was in Gorilla, but apparently he didn't really alter much of the show, is what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently this was still a Triple H heavy show. But Alex has a point. I continue to do this. Like I said, I keep saying that I probably would have stopped Raw and SmackDown reviews again after WrestleMania. After the Raw after WrestleMania. Because to me, that was a big slap back into reality. But the reason why even though I'm super busy right now in preparing for my wedding and a bunch of other things, I've kept trucking along because I want to get to 2,000 subscribers. I'm only about 120 away, and I've been kind of on a roll the past couple months, or this year I've been on a pretty good roll. I don't know if really the social media stuff, the Instagram and the Twitter is helping too much. I'm gradually getting more followers on there, but I want to get to 2,000 subscribers. But he's right. There's all these people that I would miss if I would stop watching these shows, if I would stop reviewing them. Okay, if it comes to a point like it was in 2021, where I literally was yeah, this happened, goodbye, and that's it, then I probably would stop. But again, I'm still invested, even though the product is sucking in many ways. I'm still invested right now. So, yes, that's a good way to basically say, hey, you're not idiots for still watching this product. It just sucks is what we have to sit through. Again, an almost 80-year-old man who has gotten away with so much that I still, for the life of me, do not understand how. But yet, here we are. So yes, I do want to continue to support, these wrestlers. The ones I know are working hard. The ones that I'm not blaming for having the bad booking they got. And Triple H, he's handcuffed. But I will always still be saying this. I tweeted this out the other day. Vince McMahon, you may have won, but now in order to protect yourself, because that's all you can figure out is how you want to protect yourself, you'll still be, to me, a coward. Because you know you can't do this as good as your son-in-law, but you're going to hide behind your son-in-law to be able to look good. So, that's my little introduction, but let's get into the Raw review. I have cleaned around my house tonight, but I do want to try to get both Raw and Dynamite reviews done tonight. And hopefully get more of those shorts done as well for my worst matches of all time. We're getting close to where I'll be able to do that video. I'm very excited about that video. But, and also hopefully get back to some video games soon as well. So, let's roll in and let's talk about this episode of Raw. Okay, we were in Hartford, Connecticut. The show opened up with the World Heavyweight Champion himself, Mr. Seth freaking Rollins. Of course, over as hell. I keep saying, don't get how he's so over. Besides, his theme song's awesome. And he's a great wrestler. Again, the character, I don't know what it is, but hey, if he's over, he's drawing the fans. That's all I care about. So he soaks it in, and he basically says, 1 week as World Heavyweight Champion, it's been a non-stop party. And tonight we're going to be having a world title match in the main event. And when was the last time they had a world title match on Raw? Nearly 2 years. That's too damn long. So he decided to issue an open challenge, and Damian Priest answered it. He cited because he wants all the fights and to fight the best. And love him or hate him, Judgment Day are as good as it gets. He looks forward to be able to show us all that as good as they are, they just ain't Seth freaking Rollins. In comes Damian Priest and Finn Balor. And then Seth's like, where's Dom and Rhea? And he says, I wasn't calling you guys out. And then Priest is like, no. They're doing their business. We got our own business. Rollins should only be worrying about Damian Priest. Seth asks, do you guys do everything together? And he asks if Finn holds Damian's, thing when he uses the toilet. Balor then mocks him for being loved and says he's not going to love it when Damian wins the title tonight. And Priest is honest, he thinks Seth is basically, it's a back and forth, well, first off, it's more so of like, I'm going to win the title all by myself tonight, or you can't do anything. Basically, that typical promo. Again, the promos, like I said, is what, I'll say this. The premise of everything they did tonight on this episode of Raw was solid. But again, the promos, it's just God, you can tell they're scripted. They sound like they're reading off a piece of paper. Basically, their delivery's just not been that good for most of the part. This and that, but basically it ends up with Seth Rollins challenging Damian Priest to fight him with the Judgment Day banned from ringside. And then Finn gets upset about it, but then Priest's like, I'm cool with it, I accept that. And then Seth also cracks about no matter what happens tonight, at least his title reign was longer than Finn Balor's. And I'm like, yeah, he fired a shot there. Of course, that was the only shot that got fired on this episode of Raw. We kind of had like a MJF type promo later on in the show. But we'll get to that in a little bit. We then had Becky Lynch and Sonya Deville. We had 2 qualifying matches for Money in the Bank tonight on this episode of Raw, and both of them suffered because the crowd just did not care. First, we had Becky Lynch and Sonya Deville. Zoey Stark and Trish Stratus did come out and watch from the stage. I thought they would get involved because Becky was basically fighting Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green 2-on-1 in this match. Becky, though, does get the victory. And then later in the show, we had Zoey Stark versus Natalya for a qualifying match. And again, crowd was dead. Zoey won that, though, which I'm definitely excited about that. I thought, and of course, shout out also, I did post my Money in the Bank card predictions last night as well. I think it's almost to 100 views. Let me double check that. Where is it at? 100. It's at 100 on the dot now. So Again, those match cards used to get lots of views, guys. So this one already has more. Actually, the past two have been getting really good views on TikTok also, which is awesome to see happen also. But yeah, definitely those match cards used to be really give me a lot of views. So I'm hoping, again, those will help me get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year also. And other stuff that, of course, I want to get back to since, about to get things settled with the wedding and whatnot. But anyways. But yeah, so the crowd was dead for both women's matches. Nobody cares about the women. I mean, that's what happens when, like, Rhea Ripley, the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw, has, like, nobody to fight. And it's not her fault. The division just sucks. I mean, not that it sucks, but again, it's like you're still not giving us a reason to care about most of these women. But they're really getting me more behind Zoey Stark, though. Again, I'm very glad to see her in this match. Honestly, right now, if I had my pick today, she'd probably be my favorite to win the match. I think they have, and also I think there's only going to be 6 people in the Money in the Bank ladder matches, which I'm fine with just 6. As far as I know, I believe, we have this one more. Well, we have the other 2 SmackDown qualifying matches on Friday, which will be Mia Yim and Bayley and Shotzi Blackheart and Io Sky. Honestly, if I'm being honest, my second pick would probably be Io. Although I think I predicted my third pick for Raw to be Chelsea Green. Chelsea would make a great Money in the Bank. Although she keeps saying that she's got to get away from Sonya. I'm sorry. Again, I'm sorry. I just don't like the pairing of Chelsea and Sonya. I get it. She's filling in for Carmella because Carmella had to go on maternity leave because her being pregnant and whatnot. But, well, not really maternity leave, yeah, but pregnancy leave because she's still pregnant. But I just don't think... I just don't think... The dynamic with Chelsea and Sonya is not the same as what it would have been for Chelsea and Carmella. But I think Chelsea would make a great Miss Money in the Bank. I'm pretty sure Chelsea... I'm sorry. I don't know if Chelsea again, but I'm pretty sure... not Shotzi. I can't talk today. Io will get in the Money in the Bank ladder match. She'd be my second pick, but a big time match with her and Asuka doesn't need to have the briefcase. And I think if they're going to have this character with Zoey Stark, who I'll still say still feels miscast as a heel, but I feel like, her being with Trish, I think will eventually help her become a babyface. Because eventually, when Zoe's probably going to get more popular and more over, because they've done a good job booking her so far, then Trish, who's trying to protect her spot at the top, is probably going to turn on Zoey. So with Zoey getting the briefcase, and of course Trish obviously just trying to protect her legacy, that leads to some good, interesting stuff. So I will still say my number one pick for the women right now is definitely Zoey Stark. It'd be a great way to establish her well on the main roster. But yeah, so we had those 2 qualifying matches that the crowd was dead as hell for. We had a backstage segment with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're talking about, what happened with the Bloodline on this past Friday at Roman's 1000 Championship Celebration. And Sami says, I don't want to say I told you so, but respectfully, it's nice to see that the Usos are doing what they should have done months ago. And the Imperium then roll up just to say that they're right, the Bloodline ain't the problem anymore because now we're your problem. And then Kevin Owens gets upset saying that, you're breaking unwritten rule again, how you can't interrupt. But then Gunther steps up and basically challenges Kevin Owens to a match. I'm sorry. He basically says he wants to teach Owens discipline. And Kevin was like, you want to do that? Fine. Let's have a match right now. And he storms to the ring. And then we had a match with Gunther and Kevin Owens. I kind of wish they would have saved this for pay-per-view, because this was a good match. A really good match, I would say. Good back and forth. Of course, Gunther had to cheat to win. Originally, I thought they were going to do a DQ finish on this. But they didn't. I mean, yes, the heels helped out, but Gunther won. Both men look great. Rerun it back into someday on pay-per-view, because it would be awesome. So Heartless match there was good. It's just, again, we're setting up for Imperium and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But, again, they've already beaten them twice. So why would them be... I mean, again, I love Imperium, but right now they just don't feel like threats to me. To Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, if I'm being honest with you. But Gunther won the match. Afterwards, Gunther's demanding respect. And then we then have Matt Riddle being interviewed backstage. But then Imperium rolls up. And Ludwig Kaiser tells him to watch his mouth. Riddle asks him, what are you going to do about it? And then Kaiser turns around on him, and they posture at each other, and Matt knocks him over with some road cases. And then they get, pulled apart, basically. So it's still probably setting up a match with Gunther and Matt Riddle at some point for the IC title. That'd be a great match for Money in the Bank that, again, I predicted. It'd be nice to see Matt Riddle win it, but I don't think he's going to win it yet. I watched Just Alex a lot. He mentioned the idea of doing Gunther and Johnny Gargano at SummerSlam. Because there was a hype video for Johnny Gargano, which I'm still hearing rumors that they're still holding up because they're waiting for Tommaso Ciampa to come back. But again, these hype videos are nice, but doesn't mean that they're going to, actually give them a push. They could just do that, and then, again, they're still rumored to be some releases coming by July 1st, so I'm holding my breath on that. Again, because somebody else is around. But again, I'm done ranting on him. I just wanted to talk about the shows, they're good or not. We'll go from there. So we have that match being set up. Then, right before this, most of this stuff with Imperium, we had a hype reel for Katana Chance, Casey Catanzaro, and Kayden Carter, who were called up, and I believe as of now, well, no, I haven't seen Odyssey Jones yet, but they're one of the only NXT call-ups that really hasn't had a spotlight yet on Raw. But they get a hype reel. And then we have a segment with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Ronda's holding D's nuts because she said that D's nuts prove it when they got the tag titles. But Ronda and Shayna are being interviewed. They talk about how they manifested being tag champs over a decade ago before they even stepped in the octagon. And it's past time they legitimize the titles. I mean, it's true, but who do you got to work with? They invite any team with any balls to try and take them on. And who rolled up the challenge champs? Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. They rolled up, introduced themselves, they said they're the life of the party, and they challenged them to a match. And they're like, fine. So they had the match. I was worried they were going to have Ronda and Shayna wipe the floor with them. But believe it or not, it was a good match. I mean, it wasn't as good as it was, but it felt like it was a competitive match, and it felt like watching the matches that DIY and Authors of Pain used to have in NXT. Like, the bigger dominating force against, the smaller high flyers and whatnot. Both teams had really good chemistry. It's weird to say Ronda actually, well, as Tyler would say, Horseface actually had a good match against some new competition. And it was that good that it felt like that Katana Chance and Kayden Carter, he wants to say Katana Chance and Casey Catanzaro, because I still see her as Casey Catanzaro, it felt they kind of got over in this loss. And apparently officials were impressed with this match. They've been impressed with them. They've been impressed with Damian Priest. So I'm hearing that there's some new face to be impressed with, which again, if you want to push new faces, by all means, again, just make things make sense. Something makes sense on the show too, but I thought this was a momentum building performance by Katana and Kayden despite losing. They look good. What wasn't really that good because of how it finished was they had a backstage segment with Ricochet getting ready for his match with Shinsuke Nakamura. Bronson Reed rolled up. He complained about Ricochet being in Money in the Bank and not him. And Ricochet was like, I won the match fair and square. And Nakamura beat you. So Bronson's like, well, I dominated Shinsuke. But it's like, okay, but he then hit you with 3 King shots and beat you. So you kind of have no room to, you have no argument in this. Nakamura appears and reminds him that I won. And then Reed insists, next time will be different. And then Ricochet gives him his props for Nakamura, his props for beating Bronson. But tonight, he's not going to give him anything but another L. And then we had Ricochet and Shinsuke Nakamura, which on paper sounds awesome, but then it got interrupted because Bronson Reed, for no reason, just got in the match and just beat the both of them up and caused a DQ. That made no sense, but, one of the lower points. We also have a backstage with Alpha Academy, which, of course, officially does have Maxine Dupree. I'm assuming they're baby faces, but I'm still watching, but it looks like to me they are, because it sounds like they're continuing a feud with the Viking Raiders. But Chad Gable and Maxine Dupree are still not on agreement about Otis's name. It should be Otis. But Otis like, listen, tomato, tomato, who cares? Gable says, though, she has to remember one thing. That Alpha doesn't run from a fight. So they think that Maxine Dupree needs to prepare herself to take on Valhalla, even though Valhalla really has not done much but stand in the corner for the Viking Raiders since she's come back. So I guess they want to give her... Well, Chad says that Otis wants to give some Viking literature to prepare for a match. Oh boy. So, okay, but I get it. We're still having a thing with Gable and Maxine, like, fighting over, Otis, but she just randomly dropped the Maximum Male Models, which could have benefited a little bit from this Otis storyline. So now she's just gonna wrestle. I mean, I don't know if she can wrestle or anything. It's not like when they brought up LA Knight and made him Max Dupree. We knew he could wrestle, but they limited him just being like a French creepy manager for male models. But this one, I'm like, we'll see. Especially if the feud's just based around just Maxine and Valhalla. I'm just like, okay, but I may just do the turn alert for them at least, because Alpha Academy have been back and forth, face and heel all year, but seems that's the direction it's going. Unless also Maxine Dupree falls under Vince McMahon, blonde hair, blue eyes, apple pie, non-disclosure. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go that far. Not going to go that far, but, just saying, and I said I would stop. I will stop. And then, though, we had probably one of the better things of the show. We had Cody Rhodes getting ready for Miz TV. Miz does his usual big introduction before Cody Rhodes comes out. And then Cody applauds Miz, who's dancing like a fool. And Miz says he looks dashing tonight. That's right to ask about Cody's challenge to Brock Lesnar, reminding him that Brock Lesnar broke his arm and beat him last time. Isn't that kind of stupid? Cody's like, I jumped right in. He jumps right in, and first he calls the Miz by his real name, Mike, which gets Miz all fired up. He says, my first name is The, and my last name is Miz. And then Cody says he hasn't heard stupid before now, but people have told him it's crazy that it takes balls, which is something he knows Miz knows a tiny little bit about. Enough of the tiny ball jokes. Can we please drop those jokes? Because I guess we're still on about Mrs. Balls for a reason. Yes, I don't know why we're still talking about Mrs. Balls either. Miz says he has a surprise lined up in shape of another man who has issues as a multi-generational talent. Arguably the hottest superstar in all of WWE, Dominik Mysterio comes out with Rhea Ripley. So this was their business, preparing for Miz TV. And this segment kind of turned into like an MJF segment. First, Rhea tells The Miz to be quiet. And he submits immediately as she passes the mic to Dom. And the crowd starts booing. Which again, who has the heavier boos these days? Dom or Donald Callis and Konosuke Takeshita. Or I thought it was Takashita. Anyways. The Miz tells the crowd to shut up, but then Cody mockingly tells them to stop booing. Rhea tells them to shut up, and Dom starts talking about how someone like him who's done hard time sees Cody as a little birdie with a broken wing. He's just another deadbeat dad like his own father. And then Cody says he's got a lot of empathy for Dom. And his 15 minutes in prison. And he even has a worse prison tattoo than his, which was good. He says the match he had against his dad at WrestleMania was more of a public spanking. But he's right, nobody's perfect. He knows Ray made some terrible mistakes though as a father because he's looking at one right now. Which of course is another thing that caused the crowd to pop for that. And of course, the public spanking. And then Judgment Day make the leave, but then Dom slips back in and slaps Cody across the face. And then Dom goes hiding behind Rhea and they sink out the aisle. And then Rhea tells Cody he's nothing, just like his father. And Cody turns around and The Miz is like cracking up. So then Cody takes his cast arm across the face and knocks The Miz out cold. Cody starts to give chase, but then Dom hides behind Rhea, and he stops on the steel steps. Good segment, very good. Like I said, it was not as hot, but I felt like it was like an MJF in a typical babyface type segment. Kind of got me wanting to see a pay-per-view match between these two. Because it looks like from the rumors having, which I keep hearing, apparently they're going to do Cody and Brock Part 3 at SummerSlam. So I guess my prediction about Cody being in Money in the Bank might not be happening. Unless if they do this match with Cody and Dom on Raw for the championship. Oh, not for a championship, for the last qualifying match for Money in the Bank. If not, I say save it for the pay-per-view. Cody Rhodes and Dominik Mysterio at Money in the Bank would be an excellent match. And I think it's good also, again, even though they've been a lot of rematches, Dom's been getting a lot of wins lately. He's in a really good position right now as probably one of the top heels in the company. Well, not the top because we have the guy, Roman Reigns, but I tell you what though too, if for some reason he would get into Money in the Bank though, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Dom get around the briefcase. I think that we are getting to a point, though, we may want to put a title on him, though. But I think it will be a bit because Gunther still has the IC title. He's a heel. Austin Theory's on SmackDown with the United States Championship. He's a heel. So it could still be a while, but I think at some point you got to put the title on Dom. Actually, let me ask this. Didn't the Judgment Day with help from Imperium beat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on Raw a few weeks ago? So shouldn't they be the ones going after the tag titles and not Imperium right now? Since Owens and Zayn have beaten Imperium twice? Who knows? But if they wait till pay-per-view and do Cody Rhodes and Dominik Mysterio, that would be a pretty darn good match. We had that other Money in the Bank qualifying match. Oh yeah, Paul Heyman had another backstage promo. Why? Even though he was a drafted superstar to SmackDown, he didn't have a visitor pass on the back of his phone. Basically, he says how Friday Jey Uso will make a historic choice. Who he sided with, Roman or Chewy. Or, of course, he then says he'll side with his brother, Solo Sikoa. And basically saying he believes that Jay will acknowledge that on Friday or else. So, of course, we will see what happens. We were supposed to then get a match with Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin versus Indus-Sher. And the match didn't even start, but basically they just beat the hell out of both. Indus-Sher beat the hell out of both Cedric and Shelton before the match. The match didn't even get started. It made them both look like jokes. If Vince did not take over, wasn't it just a couple months ago they were teasing a Hurt Business reunion? Seriously, like, everybody else but Bobby Lashley, who's not even doing anything on SmackDown right now, by the way, why can't you reunite them? I mean, I know the Bloodline's breaking up here and there, but you could do some type of feud with the Bloodline and the Hurt Business. Hello! If Cody's not going to get the title yet, apparently, from what it looks like, you could do that match at SummerSlam, and they would build for it. But instead, you're still treating Shelton and Cedric like jokes. I'm starting to also wonder, because didn't they just announce they're going to be doing a show in India in September? I'm pretty sure if that's the case, don't be surprised if we see Indus-Sher versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag titles at that pay-per-view. I have no interest in that match. I'm sorry, I just don't get Indus-Sher. I don't get Indus-Sher. I don't get Balor Mahal. I mean, okay, yes, you know, as a manager, fine. As a wrestler, no thank you. As a manager, he's just there. But I don't know. I just don't really see them. Yeah, they're dominating monsters, but I just don't get them. So we got that. And then the main event was Seth Rollins and Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. And it was a good match. I was kind of hoping, though, in some way, since Judgment Day was banned from ringside, and Damian Priest accepted that, I thought maybe this was going to set up for JD McDonough to... I mean, I still didn't think Seth was going to drop the title, but I was hoping for something. Well, it could have been a DQ finish, which would have been stupid. But I was hoping for it to be revealed of JD McDonough joining Judgment Day, because I am interested to see him work with Finn Balor as a duo or something. And I keep saying this too. You can have JD kind of form an alliance with Finn. Let Dom and Rhea go do their own thing, and let, Damian just go by himself. As I keep saying this, why is Judgment Day still together when Edge won the feud? Again, Edge winning the feud made no sense, because again, wasn't the whole point of Edge fighting them was to end what he started? But we didn't see JD. Finn tried to come out towards the end of the match. Rollins super kicked him. And Damian Priest was kind of like a little bothered by that. He's like, I got this. Seth did win. But that does make me wonder if that's starting to plant the seeds for Damian Priest to turn face. And for him to be kicked out of the Judgment Day, even though, again, it still shouldn't be a thing, and have JD McDonough basically take his place instead. That could be the case, because I'm also hearing Damian's gotten a lot of praise backstage since his match with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. This is kind of remind me whenever he got a lot of praise when he had that match with Finn Balor at In Your House 2020. Which was kind of like a breakout performance for Damian Priest. And they turned him face after that, too. So we might be getting back to that face Damian Priest soon. We'll have to see, though. But after the match, though, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor had a stare down. I'm pretty sure that means they're probably going to do Seth Rollins and Finn Balor at the pay-per-view for Money in the Bank on July 1st, which is the day of my wedding. But that was Raw. Again, the two things I didn't like was, one, Bronson Reed interfering in the match with Ricochet and Shinsuke. I didn't like Indashir squashing Cedric and Sheldon. I also, again, just didn't really like the promos. Like, a lot of the way... Well, except for the Miz TV segment with Cody and Dom. That was actually pretty good. But the rest of the promos, ugh. The way they were written, like, they were scripted. Not the wrestler's fault, but... I still thought this story did... This episode of Raw did some good. So, again, I'm going to be a little generous and give this a B-. But, again... Don't think that we'll get this lucky of having a show, like, you know, like with some juice to it like this with Vince McMahon lurking around again. Because, again, this is the last video I want to say. I'm going to rant about him. And I'm just going to move on, just review the shows as they are. Because, once again, I said at the beginning of this review, there's just nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do, but again, deep down, do I really want to stop supporting guys like Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Johnny Gargano, Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens? Do I really want to stop supporting all those guys? No. So, I'm in it for as long as I can go. And that'll be the case. So that's my review again of Raw, guys. What are your thoughts? You guys down in the comments section below. Be sure, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. I gotta tweet more often again. I've been really slow on tweeting for a while now, but I gotta tweet again. Be sure also to follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. Be sure also to give my Money in the Bank card predictions a like, a view, because again, those used to get lots of them. We're at 102 for views right now on that. I want to get that up. I want you to leave some hashtags also in my descriptions, because that could help as well, I've heard. So, hopefully, that will happen. Hopefully. But yeah, guys, I'm going to check out. I'm going to catch y'all later. Hopefully I'll get my Dynamite review in tonight also. At least I can get caught up there, because this weekend is the bridal shower for my fiance, so I will be busy. But yeah, so I'm checking out, guys. I'm going to catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening. And always remember, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself.